Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our next session on ABAP learning series. So, in our last session, we have discussed the basic building blocks of ABAP programming and the different type of applications objects that can be developed using ABAP programming. Okay. So, today we are going to discuss about one such object called as reports. Okay. So, reports are basically an executable programs. Technically, it is an executable program which you can execute directly. Okay. So first of all, for any basic programming language, to write codes you need IDE, that is integrated development environment. Okay, for SAP also you need certain IDEs to write your codes. Okay, there are multiple things, multiple this ones, multiple IDEs available. So one is SAP GUI. So this is a classic UI provided from SAP, okay, for programmers as well as business users as well as functional users. That means SAP GUI is a classic UI based IDE which are used by functional consultants to map the business into SAP, as well as the end users or business users to for day-to-day operations, as well as technical users to write codes and everything. Okay, so and most recently SAP also has Eclipse, the most popular IDE. So they have now they have started using Eclipse as one of the newest tool to newest tool for SAP programming. Okay, so after this HANA, we have many concepts such as CDS data services. Okay, code so CDS views and AMDPs, those can only be created using the new UIs or new IDEs provided by SAP. Okay, that means you must use Eclipse. So in this series we are going to use all the IDEs. Okay, so don't worry about that. And next is, so after the introduction of business technology platform or SAP BTP, we have okay, so these are the different IDEs which can be used in SAP programming. Okay, so first we are going to discuss the SAP GUI. Okay, so when you are a backend programmer, this is the UI which you will be working most of the cases. Okay, but anyway you can work on those three as well. But when you are working on UI or Fiori elements, then I think you must be use this cloud based IDE or Eclipse. Okay, now hmm, okay, now coming to SAP GUI, you need to open certain editors to write the code, right? So those can be, so those are the transaction codes you can use to write codes. Okay, and if you refer to my previous videos, you will understand what is a transaction code and how you can use those transaction codes. Okay, we are not going to discuss all of those because we have already covered this in my previous videos. So if you see this ABAP learning series, there are so all the videos are named with a sequential number 1 2 3 4 5 6. So you need to follow up those. So whatever we are discussing since last two sessions is just an overview or revision of whatever we have covered in previous videos. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can go check our previous videos. Okay, so these are the few transaction codes can be used to write programs. Okay, now coming to this ABAP program, it can be divided by 4 different sections. Okay, so technically it is not necessary to divide the above program into different sections, but to make it more understandable, more friendly, we need to divide it into different sections. Okay, let's say today you are writing the programs and tomorrow another program is coming here because you have changed your organizations and a new programmer comes and now it is his duty to maintain the code or do the enhancement and everything, so he must need to understand the basic structure. So that is why almost 99.9% of our programs are divided into 4 different sections. Okay, so whenever you are writing a program, the first section is at the beginning of the program you have all the data declarations. Okay, that means based on the business requirement you need to declare all the variables or internal tables or structures, so that while executing the program during runtime you can hold those data to generate the output. Okay, so that is the first sections. And second section is data selection. Okay, based on the user input to the above program you must select those data from different tables, because SAP stores the data in table, or any implementation, software implementation, you will see the data is always held in table. So data selections is a section where you write all the DML statements or select statement to select the data from your database tables. Okay, then next section is processing the data, right? So when you are generating an output, you are reading all the sales data, all the purchase data, then you are comparing this how much you have purchased and how much you have sold and what is your net profit. Okay, so the comparison of sales data or purchasing data, so I'm just giving an example here. Okay, not not in every case that you are reading the sales data and reading the purchasing data, then you are comparing and getting the result. So for understanding purpose I have select this example. Okay, so once you select the data from 10 different tables you need to process the data. That means you need to generate an output combining all the data from all these different tables. So that part can be done under the section data processing. Okay, once your data is processed you need to display the output as a PDF format or tabular format or any format. So that part must be under the result output section. Okay, now coming to this our program structure, you see, so these are the 4 sections as we discussed. One is data declaration, selection, processing and result output. Okay, when it comes to data declarations, you have, so you can divide this data declarations into 2 parts. One is the active data. That means whenever you run a program you want to select only the data for your Bangalore branch, then the Bangalore branch should come from the user. Okay, right? So that is called as data input to the program. Okay, or you can call it as program input. Now variables to hold the data, whenever you receive the input as Bangalore, but then you need to select the data from all the tables using the value Bangalore, right? And then you need to hold those informations from different tables in your program so that you can process the data. So in that case you need to declare certain variables to hold the selected data. Okay, so for those data, to hold those data you need to declare certain types of data types in your program. Okay, we call those as data declarations, right? So now coming to this program input. Okay, so as we discussed, a user can, based on the user input, your program can select the data. Okay, so in that case, the user input can be a single input or it can be a multiple inputs. Okay, so whenever this is a single input, we can define the parameters. Okay, whenever you have multiple inputs, we can define select options. Okay, and if your program is an upload program, that means you receive the data from different systems and you have created an Excel and you want to upload all the data from the Excel into your SAP system. Okay, so in that case, your input is a file from your local system. Okay, and if you are receiving similar files from different systems, okay, from any third party systems, then you need to have a server, file server, right? And from there your SAP can read the files, or SAP can place the file as output as well. So in that case, you need to read the file from a central server or SAP's own application server. Okay, so here we are not discussing the type of programs, we are discussing the different type of inputs to the program. So for our reports, we will use parameter or select options. Okay, so in our programs, we can use file upload or local, these two options: file upload from local system and file upload from a central server. So this can be used, or this can be mostly used for conversion programs, because conversion programs, you get a huge set of data, then you upload into SAP system, right? So those two kind of inputs you will see in the conversion programs. And this data from interfaces, when you are sending something from non-SAP system in real time and you are receiving those inputs in SAP system, you need to create the interfaces, right? So for those programs, this is the input. Okay, so now you all understand what is a program input, right? Now based on the input, you can select the data from tables. Okay, then data processing. So processing and formatting the data is for business need for report output. Okay, so you are selecting or you are reading the data from 10 different database tables, but while displaying the output, you need to summarize the data and give it in a single output, right? So those processing or formatting the data has been done under the section data processing. Okay, if you are writing in conversion programs, then you are not selecting any data, right? You are just reading the data. So you are uploading a file, so you are reading the data from the file under data selection, and under the data processing, you are formatting the data based on your database table. So you are reading one Excel file, but all this data needs to be put under 3 different tables. Then in the data processing, you need to segregate those data into 3 different tables. Okay, then you need to update those tables in actual database tables. Okay, so all those things are comes under data processing. Now the next session is result output. So whenever you are declaring anything, right? So whenever you are giving a summarized output, it can have different formats, right? You can print that output and give, or you can give the output in a tabular format or graphical format or anything. Okay, those part of the code must be written under the result output. Okay, so I hope you all understand the basic ABAP structure, right? So if you have any questions or any doubts, feel free to add those into comment sections. Okay, so you will get a response And on our next session, we will try to write an ABAP program and how we can define different sections for our programs. Okay, and we will discuss about the events as well. Okay, so see you all in our next session. Next session is going to be very interesting, so don't miss this out, and see you soon. Till then, bye, take care.